All right, guys, welcome back to another video. I just want to clarify a breakdown that I did yesterday with this guy who was at Provo. It was BG. He posted his landing. He bounced a couple times, went off center line, almost stalled it, caught it right above the ground. I was reading your guys' comments. I love your guys' comments. I read all of them. I've learned a lot from your guys' comments. And some of the comments were saying that they were saying, quote, it's kind of obvious why he stalled. He retracted all of his flaps at once. And I was like, there's no way I missed that. There's no way that he went from 30 degrees to zero right after a go around. And I was just like beating my head against the wall. And on the drive to work, I watched the video back again and listened to it. And once I got to work, I looked at the video more closely and I'm like, did this guy actually go from 30 degrees to zero? Because these details are really important. And I took a picture of it because it was kind of dark and it was hard to tell. Changed the saturation, and it's very clear that he went from 30 to 20. All right. And that is a typical go around procedure. The problem with that is he was slow and he had a nose up attitude. And then he went from 30 to 20, lost that lift, had to put the nose down because he got a stall horn, caught it above the ground, probably close to ground effect, gained some of the energy, and then climbed away again. So people are assuming that, or not assuming, but people think that he just put in full, retracted all of his flaps at once. He did not do that. He went from 30 to 20. Where I misspoke, and I could have been more clear, and as a flight instructor, like, it's so important that you're clear in your language, because unclear language leads to mistakes. And I want to be very, very clear and transparent here, is I feel like I could have said that better. I could have said, I'm glad he didn't hesitate on putting those flaps from 30 to 20. But even that wasn't necessarily correct, because when you do a go around, let's say I bounce, I put in full power, I need to make sure that I'm gaining speed. Okay? I need to make sure that I'm pushing that nose down as I'm climbing away, because the region reverse command says that if I bounce, boom, boom, and I do a go around, if I add power, I will climb. Okay, I don't even need to pitch the nose up. In fact, often in a go around, when you push full power, you'll be climbing and you need to push the nose down because that nose is going to want to come back up, especially if you have trim in there, nose up trim. So people are saying in the comments, I think there was a couple of them that was like, he needs to establish a positive rate of climb before retracting any flaps at all. That's not necessarily true, because in a climb, what happens? You have a nose up attitude, you have an increased angle of attack, and you're getting closer to that stall speed, okay? And you're getting closer to that critical angle of attack. So it's not that he needed to establish a positive rate of climb before retracting those flaps to 20. What he needed was speed. What he failed to do, and what we'll watch in the video, is when he does his go around, he puts in full power and then forgets the region of reverse command, pitches up to climb away, and then induces a near stall. Okay, but my point is that I should have been more specific when I talked about the flaps, and that I was happy that he retracted those flaps, because I noticed that people are thinking that he's going to 0 degrees instantly, and people are thinking that I'm happy that he went from 30 to 0, when that is the wrong answer. And I'm sorry for that misclarification. I'll be more clear next time, and I should know that language is super important, and even just one sentence can misconstrue an entire interpretation. And I remember I had this one instance where I was coming into the pattern with a student, and we had traffic above us, and I said, pull power, because there was a guy that like cut us off in the pattern, and he put in full power and he started climbing. And I was like, what are you doing? Pull power. And he's like, I am. I'm like, you're not. And I took the flight controls away. I was like, pull power. And he's like, I thought you said full power. And right there, I was like, I was a brand new CFI. And I was like, I need to be very careful with my language and the way I say things. And all CFIs can relate to this. Now I don't say pull power anymore. I say reduce power, because pull sounds too much like full. Crazy, huh? So yeah, I could have been more clear on this part. My normal go around procedure for students is when they come in and they bounce, full power, take control of the airplane, okay? Wings level, gain that airspeed, put in the first notch of flaps, so go from 30 to 20, establish a positive rate of climb. So you should have a positive rate of climb on like your VSI, right, trending upwards. Then once you get closer to VY, then you could take out that you could go 10 to 0. All right, that's not what happened here. I'll watch it again.
What I'd be worried about is he's getting real slow.
I know this is kind of weird because like I'm breaking down my breakdown and my face is probably covering my face, but let's just watch this again real quick.
Right, real slow. I mean, his airspeed indicator looks like it's 40 knots.
Okay, so this is what I want to focus on right here. So he has 30 degrees in right now. And if he put in full flaps, it would not be right here to here. It would be up here to here. And I was watching this, I'm like, I was like, no, that wasn't 30 to 0. That was just 20. And if you go over here, which I'll show you in a second, him in the traffic gun, you could see what 0 degree flaps looks like. And it's not like this. So he puts in 30 to 20. Now the problem is he's really slow. He has a nose up attitude. And now he's moving into a clean configuration, which means his stall speed is going up. Big mistake here. This nose, I know you're climbing away from the runway, but remember, you're operating in the region of reverse command. You got full power in there, you will simply float away from the runway. So you can actually afford to push the nose down a little bit in order to trade for airspeed.
Okay, flaps go in quickly. I love this.
Okay, this is when I think I start getting in trouble with my language here.
Don't hesitate on those flaps on a go around. I'm not saying rush.
So I said, don't hesitate on those flaps on a go around. I want to be very clear when I'm saying I do not want my students going from 30 degrees to 0 right after they perform a go around. So I should have been more clear. Here is what I'm talking about.
After a go around, I want you to fly the plane first.
Fly the plane first.
But this guy does the right thing, okay? He makes the right call for a go around. And then as he goes, yeah, he's off center line and he comes back down, but watch what happens next.
So what happens here is since he's moving into a clean configuration, his stall's going up, his angle of attack is high, he gets the first indications of a stall. The only choice you have here is to put the nose down and regain that speed. There is no other alternative. You have to put the nose down in order to gain the speed. Now the problem is that he's so close to the runway. I think he looks like he's maybe 30 feet off the ground, 20 feet off the ground, that he has to actually push the nose down to a point to where right before he touches down, he applies back pressure and climbs out sufficiently, just enough. And he almost, I think, if I remember correctly watching this video, there's a moment where he uses ground effect to his advantage because he's so close to the ground. That actually, I think, saved him in a lot of ways. So here comes a stall, and look, he drops the nose.
He gets slow.
And then he applies that back pressure again.
And then he's off center line, and it looks like he has the right, and it looks like he...
So right here, I'm starting to ask myself, I'm looking right here, like my mouse cursor is over, and I'm like, what is his flaps looking like? And then I kind of get tunnel vision on the RPM settings right here.
But he holds it off. So he almost...
But I already explained to you what happened is that he was nose up and he was slow and he retracted the flaps from 30 to 20.
hits the grass here. He starts building up that speed, flying.
And you can actually see his airspeed indicator.
But he holds it off.
Drop. He stalls. Then he builds up like 7 to 10 knots, and then is able to fly away using that energy.
So he almost hits the grass here.
So look at his airspeed indicator if you guys can.
And then he's off center line, and it looks like he has the right. Hits the grass. Looks like he has the right, and it looks like he.
So he gains about 10 knots right there. Okay. So yeah, that's what happened. I do not go flaps 30 to 0 the moment you do a go around. You will. I've actually had it happen to me when I was with a student where I said go around and we started flying away and the flaps went from 30 to 0 and you are going to lose a crap ton of lift. Crap ton. And it is actually really scary. Okay. So one last point I want to make is that you could see right here his flaps are clearly down. All right. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but they're down. I want to show you what it looks like in the pattern. So that is flaps up. Okay.
You feel like all
here you can kind of see that his flaps are all the way up because you can't see the tab. So this is when I was looking at this and I was like, wait, what do his flaps look like when they're up? I'm like, okay, good. Okay, this is what 0 degrees looks like in this plane, and then 30 is more down here. You can kind of see the shadow. I know it's dark, but my point is that he didn't retract the flaps from 30 to 0. He incrementally put it in. Just his timing was bad. Okay, so talk to your flight instructor about a go-around, how to do it properly. Have your instructor tell you and maybe demonstrate to you why retracting the flaps all at once is a bad idea, assuming you have sufficient altitude. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys' comments on this, because the more comments I was reading, I was like, I definitely misspoke here and I could have been more clear. That's why I love this community, because I can make videos like this, we can have conversations, and we can hone in on what actually happened. All right. And yeah, I think that's about it. You guys leave comments below, see if I'm on track, if I misspoke any other ways. But that's the thing that I really wanted to clear up, was that moment right there, because that understanding what happened there is absolutely critical and it's super important. And I would be wrong as a CFI if I let that slide and let people think that they can get away with retracting all their flaps at once on a go around. That would be terrible, and that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to learn. I'm here to listen from you guys, learn from you guys, and to be good pilots. All right. I really appreciate it, guys, and I appreciate all your subs and likes, and I'll see you for the next one.